precise in the operation of counterinsurgency in Nigeria.
But the Ministry of Health was an opportunity to touch bases with the Turks and tell them what our main interests are in developing primary health care, strengthening secondary health care, and improving our super specialty hospitals.
President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the renewed terrorist killings in Kaduna State, saying that the gruesome nature of recent incident in Kauran Fawa Market and Ruhiya of Idasu ward of Giwa local government area has made him particularly sad and the killings unacceptable. Bandits within the week have also killed citizens in Zangot Kataf, Chukun, Bernungwari, Igabi and Kaura local government areas of the state. And a statement by Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on media and publicity, says the President also expressed the nation's condolences to the government of Kaduna State, the people of Zonkwa Chiefdom and the family of His Highness Nuhu Bature de Guam Baju on his demise. He prayed for the repose of the souls of the deceased. President Buhari affirmed that our security forces have turned the heat on the terrorists who are getting frustrated and are soft-targeting innocent citizens, looting their assets, burning their homes, and killing them indiscriminately. And he has reiterated his directive to the security and intelligence chiefs to do everything they can to destroy the remaining vestiges of the terrorist. Now, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awal Gambo says the Nigerian Navy is investing in high-endurance offshore patrol vessels to sustain naval dominance within the sub-region. Vice Admiral Gambo, who disclosed this in Port Harcourt at the passing out parade of new cadets, charged them to brace up for national security and maintain high sense of responsibility.
Central Naval Command has been doing very well in operations, as visible in the last few weeks. The arrests that have been undertaken have just briefed the FOC on the expectations of the Naval headquarters and the Defense headquarters.
And the Nigerian Air Force has added to its force 648 regiment personnel towards reinvigorating its capabilities. In a statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, the personnel are products of the service committed to pursuing purposeful training and human capacity development for the enhanced force protection competence to secure and protect the citizenry. And the quality of training received by the regiment personnel is evident in their deployment in several operational theaters across the country, where they are performing credibly in counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism operations. In other news, electricity power supply has been restored to Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, and its environ, having experienced total blackout for 11 months.
This 11 months we having no light, but now we are really appreciate for the arrival of the electricity in Borno State.
The borehole was working, water is flowing everywhere.
As far as my neighbor got light, it means the same thing, so no problem. I feel very happy. There are so many measures that we have taken to ensure that power has been sustained and then to put them under security tight.
Pope Francis has appointed Apostolic Nuncio to the Antilles, Nigerian's Archbishop Fortunatus Nwachukwu to be permanent observer of the Holy See to the United Nations Office and Specialized Institution in Geneva. Archbishop Nwachukwu is also the permanent observer to the World Trade Organization and the representative of the Holy See to the International Migrations Organization. And the cleric will assume the new mission in March 2022. Those are the news highlights. Stay tuned for more on Good Morning Nigeria with Jumai and Kinsley after this break.
Trying our best to contain the situation, and in our operations we've been able to make a lot of recoveries. We've been able to also arrest suspects that are involved in this kind of activities, and we've been able to also recover particularly arms and ammunition from those who are carrying it are lawfully and disturbing the peace of the people. But generally, our morale in the Nigerian police is always guided by our commitment to do what we have sworn to do. Peace and security must be looked into as a priority by all. To look at security as the business of all of us.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Shola, come and help me. You need to learn.
But I'm more interested in drawing.
How are you going to be part of the business if you don't learn?
You just don't understand.
Morning. Anyone for some Lipton?
The rich taste of Lipton awakens body and mind.
Let me have a look at your drawings. Son, these designs are amazing.
Lipton Yellow Label Tea. Awaken to what really matters.
Confidence is important in life's little moments. Strong teeth can help, even if they get her into trouble sometimes. A great smile is useful to break the ice, and making friends is easier when you know you have fresh breath. I give my family confidence with Pepsodent Triple Protection 123. Its antibacterial action formula gives them cavity protection, white teeth, and fresh breath. The confidence of 3 toothpaste in 1. Pepsodent Triple Protection 123.
Arise, O Nigerians. Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
With the Airtel Family Plan, get bonus talk time, SMS and data for each family member you share with. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Financial experts call for renewed strategies towards leveraging opportunities in African Continental Free Trade Area after. Details on Business News.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is set to have the potential to create a continental free trade zone with a combined gross domestic product of $3.4 trillion since coming into operation in 2020. The expectations of the continent remain high as financial experts continue to profile more ideas to maximizing the huge benefit in intercontinental trade, ranging from common currency for regional economic communities and the AfCFTA as more taxing incubation centers spring up across the region.
There's a lot of trading that goes on, buying and selling, that is able to raise enough investment to go back into the economy. That is what one currency can do for us here. So I'm thinking that if we are able to trade amongst ourselves with one particular currency, we can then determine what profit margins are coming out of those trades and can go on to even support further entrepreneurs who have goals and visions to create businesses.
We have always traded one way or the other, either by minerals, either by salt, either by services. So if we focus on value add, we will get trade going. Once we get trade going, we will build trust. When we build trust, the payment platform that will support that will come naturally.
They posit that the adoption of a single currency and fintech will boost intra-African trade in the African region.
Thank you for the business package on Good Morning Nigeria. Next is newspaper review.
You're welcome back, and Bayo Tiovi is in the studio for the newspaper review. You're welcome, Bayo.
Good morning. Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Bayo, good to see you. I hope you had a pleasant weekend.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, let's begin with the Punch newspaper. At the side piece of the Punch newspaper, COVID-19, FG issues travel advice. Lagos vows clamp down as infection soar. You find details on page 2. Rep summon Aregbesola, NIS bus over foreign missions visa passport contracts. You find details on page 26. And the headlines we have in the Punch newspaper: death toll in Kaduna fresh bandits attack rises to 38. Others missing. With riders, gunmen raid 3 communities, destroy houses, vehicles. Kaduna releases names of 29 after 38 victims. Casualties may rise. You find the details on page 42. And the picture story you see there, runners at the Madrid annual charity run in the Spanish capital on Sunday. Niger faults local government chairman on closure of schools over alleged planned attacks. You find details on page 9. Federal government releases $1 billion grant to 4 states for pilot ranching. Details on page 25. 12 killed, scores injured in Bauchi, Lagos-Ibadan expressway crashes. You find details on page 8. Northern fuel marketers threaten strike over 50 billion naira bridging fund. Details on page 25. Doctor, friend planning travel to US murdered in Abuja. Details on page 4 and 5. Togo, Benin, Niger paid nothing for Nigeria's power supply. That's attributed to NIAC. You find details on page 25. Kinsley.
Okay, we also took a look at the window page of the Nation newspaper. From above the name flag, you have the following headlines. Chinese loans to Nigeria, now $3.5 billion, says DMO, that's the Debt Management Office. Bandits killed 38 in Kaduna community attack. 11 kidnapped suspects held. Details on page 4. Nigeria protests assault on citizens in Togo. NUJ, NGE, that's Union of Journalists and Guild of Editors, warn politicians against destructive politics. Now, below the nameplate, it says Bauchi recalls 153 cases of Lassa fever. Couple sells month-old for 50,000. The next story comes with a double-decker headline. Disquiet as Buhari declines assent to Electoral Act bill. 2 riders. President returns bill to National Assembly. Senators and reps consult on way forward. And then there is an excerpt there from the story saying the president motivated the bill, particularly the retention of direct primary in the proposed act. It is therefore surprising that he has contributed to the anxiety and confusion by not signing it up till now. 2.6 trillion naira. That's the kicker. Native shifts report of 77 firm status to Q1. That's Q1 of apparently next year. Only 25 universities have full accreditation, says NUC. Insecurity. Nigeria looks towards Turkey for drones and military equipment. That's on page 6. Bayo.
Yes, thank you. Let's start with the president visits to Turkey. President Muhammadu Buhari and Nigeria delegation returned on Sunday to the nation after attending the 3rd Turkey-Africa Summit. There are positive developments from the visit. It includes expectation of a Turkish delegation to visit defense facilities in January, as well as the Federal Capital Territory, expecting the delegation of interest in world-class hotels and conference centers, as well as hospitals. The Turkey visit is the 7th international engagement of Mr. President since he addressed the United Nations General Assembly in September. He attended the climate conference in Glasgow, the Peace Forum in France, and was also invited for the Africa Trade Conference in South Africa and Expo 2020 in Dubai. There is concern about President's assent to the electoral bill. It's 30 days that is required for the president, and by virtue of section 54(8), if after 30 days the president does not assent or communicate to the National Assembly withholding his assent, the National Assembly, when the two chambers passes that same bill by two-thirds majority, the assent of Mr. President may no longer be required. There are speculations, however, that the president may have communicated his reactions to the National Assembly. Meanwhile, we await the National Assembly to meet, and it is only the National Assembly that can intimate the nation about the nature of the correspondence. Talking about...
Bayo, just before we proceed, I mean, I haven't read any story from the President's office indicating the transmission of any communication to the National Assembly or non-communication of any indication as to what, any action or inaction. Even the story that from the Leadership newspaper, which is their lead story, is speculative. It says President Muhammadu Buhari may have declined assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Now, there was disquiet yesterday among members of the National Assembly who were locked in a series of meetings to articulate their response to the alleged denial of assent. So the president had 30 days to sign or decline assent to the bill. Then it says the 1 month window closed yesterday, but lawyers argued that the president still has 1 day of grace to make up for yesterday, which was a work-free day.
Well, I think most of their speculation is based on an interview granted by the Special Assistant to the President on Media, Garba Shehu. And when he was asked, and he said he had no brief about that. And there's perhaps the President may have communicated that to the National Assembly. And it is only when the National Assembly meets that such communication will be read on the floor of the House, and then everybody will get to know. So that is the ambit for which they are all speculating.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's going to be an interesting development to see what happens between the National Assembly and the executive branch. We know that there had been a lot of lobbying after the passage of the bill. There were a number of stakeholders, particularly in this case, state governors, and a few party apparatchiks who were concerned about what direct primaries, would mean for their various political parties. If you recall last week, we also raised the point as to why some of those issues were now coming to the fore, and the National Assembly allowing itself to be dragged into the latest conversations when there had been public hearings on the bill.
Yes, that's what the leadership is saying. It's saying that the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, political parties oppose National Assembly overriding President Muhammadu Buhari. And the writers say it is bad for its legacy. National Assembly won't shift support for PMB, Senate President declares. We won't interfere, that's coming from the PDP, and APC keeps mum. And it also said APC National Convention Buni Committee meets today.
They are all in the ambit of speculation.
Yeah.
The good thing is this, unfortunately, emphasis is being placed on direct or indirect primaries. But there are several important amendments in the Electoral Act that is germane to our future elections. And so if care is not taken, we're going to throw away the baby with the bathwater. So that is the danger there. Anyway, other things, let's go to about the travel advice that's been provided by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control relating to COVID-19. The NDC says that non-essential international or local travel are advised to be shelved if as far as possible, because they gave the advice because COVID-19 cases are continuing to rise internationally and also in Nigeria. In Nigeria here, between November 21st and 4th of December, Nigeria recorded 1,035 cases. But guess what? By December 15 to 18, it had risen to 8,960 cases. These cases increased by 761.45%. And what the NCDC is saying that in that same week of reference, we had about 235 passengers who tested positive coming into the country. It has increased to 845. NCDC says that the variant of Omicron may not only lead to severe cases globally, but Omicron itself may also lead to other mutations that will going to come. And such mutations are susceptible to increased transmissibility as well as severe illness and evasion of tests already conducted. However, they have advised that people, where necessary, should shelve travels if they can afford to. In the Federal Capital Territory and the 36 states of the Federation, there has been an increase in tests from 51,345 in week 48 to about 62,537 in week 47. So far, Nigeria has tested 3,686,403 Nigerians. Lagos has come out strong, and it says that it is going to go tough with violators of COVID-19 protocols. The Commissioner of Information, Benga Omotosho, says that inbound travelers who evade mandatory COVID-19 tests will be phased out and will be taken to court. They are required upon arrival to go through a 2-day and a 7-day test. And if they fail, they will be phased out and be prosecuted. In Ogun State, the approach is they are campaigning and encouraging people to continue to wear their face mask. In Kano State is embarking on the massive vaccination. Their target is to vaccinate 15 million. Bauchi is taking vaccination to worship centers. So that is the extent to which the campaign is going on.
And the weather is not helping matters.
Yes.
Just as well. But, you know, we still need some public enlightenment with respect to the Omicron variant and the pre-existing Delta variant, which was said to be more deadly. And this is not to underplay the significance of the efforts already made by the health authorities. But the symptoms that have been indicated as being signs of Omicron, some persons are saying those are the kind of symptoms you have with common colds, some symptoms with flu, which of course are prevalent in this part of the country at this time of year.
Especially this time of year.
And then in the northern hemisphere, it is of course their winter. So people are no longer suffering from flu or no longer suffering from common colds. And if you recall, before coronavirus, people used to die in large numbers from flu. They used to call it the flu season, and they had their jabs. So how do you make this distinction so that there's no confusion? Somebody has, I mean, everywhere people are coughing because of the dust and all kinds of things. They are coughing. And so how do you enlighten them? Yes, it is good, you know, to get vaccinated. It is good to observe the non-pharmaceutical protocols, hand washing, social distancing, wear a face mask, and so on and so forth. But how do you explain some of these?
The implication is that it's not every flu or every cough or every feverish that is COVID-19. But the surest bet is go to the hospital to have it confirmed and to have it treated so that you don't take any unnecessary risks. There are concerns about terrorism.
Sorry, before you get into the terrorist thing, last week the Senate was supposed to have passed the appropriation bill for 2022. And there were reports that the Senate would reconvene at plenary on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, and may then pass the appropriation bill. You can see worldwide reactions to the Omicron variant because of the severity in the more advanced countries. The Netherlands, that's Holland, is now into a total lockdown. And Germany is restricting the number of travelers coming in from the United Kingdom.
France has done the same.
Well, so we do not know what impact this would have on the global economy. If economies are getting into another lockdown mode, will this indicate some sluggish growth for the global economy in the first quarter of next year, even gravitating towards the second quarter? What will this mean for our own economic projections? What would it mean for the major assumptions that we have about our budget? So just to draw their attention, I imagine they already know, the National Assembly, they say, look, what is your reading? What are your consultants telling you? And how do you graft this into the 2022 appropriation bill? Or you probably will wait for a supplementary budget if things don't go as planned.
I think that will be the way out. For now, the delay in passing the 2022 budget was occasioned by provisions for census and others that were not considered before. And hopefully, they will be able to do that before they go on vacation. I was talking about terrorist report, how Boko Haram terrorists were reported to have attacked Askira Uba again. You recall, it was the same Askira Uba where they were attacking, where a general was going there to rescue, where his convoy was ambushed. In the same way, Maiduguri had power restored to it after about 11 months. That was some good news. Yes, after about 11 months, because the insurgents had actually pulled down the electricity power supply to Maiduguri. And so we rejoice with the people of Maiduguri. In the meantime,
power sharing 60 hours daily.
Yes, meantime, many households had to depend on alternative power supply, solar, to survive throughout that 11 months period. There's this other human interest story I'd like to draw attention to. A female soldier who got romantically involved with a male youth copper at the parade ground. The copper knelt down to the soldier and proposed to her. And all the coppers who were there all appreciated that. But the soldier is in trouble because the director of Army Public Relations says that the field officer violated military bylaws by getting involved with the public in displaying amorous relationship with a paramilitary trainee youth copper. What are the offenses? The offenses are about 3 of them. 1, fraternization with an officer while on official duty. Secondly, the person must have reached 3 years in service before he can marry, and he has not reached that. Third, he violated armed forces guideline on use of social media. And fourthly, he was indulging in amorous relationship while in uniform. Military has disciplinary codes, he says, and that are bound. And this is going to be enforced. You recall, just about 3 months ago, a youth copper had the audacity to touch an officer, and one Lieutenant Chika Anwele got murky, dirty water and soaked her uniform to her skin for that. Up till now, that officer has not been called to order. In fact, she was soon after sent on a course. I begin to wonder different strokes for different folks.
Yes, they got engaged. They didn't say they were going to get married. Just got engaged. Engagement can last for 2
years. Okay, we engaged. I will marry you. I will marry you 3 years after my 3. I have fulfilled my 3 years of stay off.
So on that score, she would appear not to have violated that regulation to say you can only get married after you have served 3 years. But on the other counts, if you may, that the Army Director of Public Relations raised, I think that one would imagine that, there was a moment of indiscretion. Yes. Moment of indiscretion on the part of the officer. We are human beings, and you can get carried away, but the rules are rules.
Yes.
And you should obey those rules. We don't have these issues popping up every now and then in terms of amorous relationships, but in some advanced military formations, you have more serious issues of same-sex relationships.
Yes.
Particularly amongst the U.S. armed forces.
Seriously, yes.
Very serious cases, and sometimes requiring the intervention of the high command of those entities. And the rules are constantly shifting. And then, of course, you're getting into whether it is a military rule or whether it is a question of rights and so on and so forth. But in this case, the rules are clear, and the regulations are also clear, and it would appear to be a moment of indiscretion. And as the Army Director of Public Relations also indicated, let us assume the rules were reversed. If it had been the military officer who was proposing to a female youth club member, the impression would be it was an act of seduction or otherwise.
On that note, we're running out of time. Thank you so much, Baya, for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for giving Kingsley Yeruka, not me this time.
Well, Baya, thank you for coming. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll begin our conversation on Nigeria-Turkish relations. Don't go away.
If, for example, has succeeded a great deal in sensitization during the pandemic, and we have found the community mobilization officers most effective in the sensitization and in the advocacy campaigns, creating awareness on the coronavirus pandemic. We have done this through the production of jingles, which were very widely distributed in different languages, in English, in Hausa, in Yoruba, in Igbo, in Tiv, in Igala, in Kanuri, in Fulfulde, in Ijo, in Isoko, in Bini, in talk of any other language you can think of. We had translated sensitization messages.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
We are all Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who is a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
This present government has done a lot on the train modernization. They came in and completed the Abuja Kaduna, and we have 9 stations there, 5 stopping stations and 4 crossing stations, making 9. And when we started in 2016, we started with 2 trips, then we later moved on to 8 trips. And we are talking about moving to 14 trips a day, and we have been able to send 10 DMUs, 10 coaches, and 2 locomotives new. We have 12 stations on the Takbere line. It's about 312 kilometer length of track, and it's over 35 years old. And the government came and took it up, finished the track, built modern stationing, and the stations are finished. Working on the signaling. We all hope to start the commercial operation by the end of September.
You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, before we get ahead with the details of our conversation around Nigeria-Turkey relations, let's listen to this background I put together by our correspondent, Oyemi Ajayi.
Relations between Nigeria and Turkey dates long way back to the time of Nigeria's independence. Officially, Turkey established an embassy in Lagos, Nigeria in 1962 before relocating to Abuja in 2001. According to Wikipedia, both countries maintained a strong relationship until after the Nigerian Civil War, when Turkey took a neutral position and refused to sell arms to the Federation. However, in the 1990s, the relationship had improved through close cooperation in foreign policy. Since then, interactions and bilateral relations between the two countries have continued to grow and improve over the years. Leaders from both countries have exchanged visits with continued interactions as trade relations get strengthened. As at last year, the two nations reached $2 billion trade volume as Nigeria maintains Turkey's most outstanding and the biggest trade partner in the sub-Saharan Africa, with prospects of increasing the trade volume to $5 billion. The recent visit of the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan saw both countries sign some memoranda of understanding in areas of trade, security, health, amongst others. The third Turkey-Africa Partnership Summit had the theme Enhanced Partnership for Common Development and Prosperity and was aimed at carrying forward the strategic ties between Turkey and the continent of Africa to a new stage. At the meeting, President Muhammadu Buhari called for support to defeat terrorism and insurgency on the African continent as he made the case for increase in Africa-Turkey trade figure, which can lead to a win-win for all countries, leveraging on Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. A 5-year action plan and a joint implementation report has been adopted towards enhancing Turkey-Africa relations in critical economic sectors, including the concrete projects to be carried out before the next summit in 2026 for the benefit of the continent. There was also the commitment to cementing collaboration on current issues in the global arena, including health, peace, security, governance, and justice. Now that the summit has ended, how beneficial is it to Nigeria as a country? Will there be a continental implementation of some of the agreements? How helpful will Turkey be in defeating terrorism bedeviling the continent, especially Nigeria, as both countries become bound by the recent bilateral agreements? These are some questions waiting to be answered by guests already seated in the studio.
And joining us in our Abuja studio to discuss the topic is Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu. You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate.
And also here in the studio is Dele Oye, First Deputy National President, Nigeria Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry and Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, and Chair, Nigeria Turkey Business Council. You're welcome to Good Morning, Nigeria.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you.
All right, and also part of this conversation, and joining us via Zoom is Ambassador Ismaila Yusuf Abba, is Nigeria's ambassador to Turkey. Your Excellency, a pleasure to have you on the program this morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we'll begin the conversation with you. The Zoom connection is good. How big an assignment was the President's latest visit to Turkey and his participation in the summit? How big an assignment was it for you?
Well, thank you very much for having me on the program. It's a significant assignment, and we did our best. But like I've said on various occasions, the president is a very easy boss to manage when it comes to this type of engagements, because the objectives are very, very clear right from the beginning. And of course, the team comes with clearly defined strategies for engagement. It was a big assignment, but it was also a very easy one.
Into some diplomatic secrets. When you say the president is a boss that is, excuse me, fairly easy to manage on the occasions such as just been through, what exactly do you mean?
What I mean is that he's prepared. He's always prepared for this type of engagement. Like when he landed, for example, and I rode with him in the car. I started my briefing, and he had complete information about what I wanted to tell him. So it was for me very interesting that the president was already ahead of what we were trying to do.
Indeed, the summit, Nigeria went there on a special invitation from the Turkish president. And from history, Nigeria has had a very vibrant relationship with Turkey going on since before independence. Quite a breath of fresh air, Nigeria going into this developmental agreement with Turkey to improve relations with Nigeria. What's your take on the Memoranda of Understanding signed with the president and the president's been assuring Nigerians that this time around something good is coming our way?
Now, for the purpose of clarity, no memorandum of understanding were signed during this particular visit. The memorandum, a combination of 7 memorandum of understanding and agreements were signed in October when the president of Turkey visited Nigeria. And of course, the areas of agreements and MOUs centered on defense industries cooperation. We had avoidance of double taxation. We had investment promotion and protection, mutual investment promotion and protection. We had youth development. We also had mining, of course. And then, of course, we also had hydrocarbon and energy. And then we had high-level political consultations between the foreign ministries of the 2 countries. Now, from the headings of the 2 agreements, you will see that is it in the area of youth development, where, for instance, Turkey offers 14,000 scholarships to African countries. Out of this number, Nigeria is taking a chunk of it. And then, of course, there is a process to increase the number. And then if you look at the area of mining, Turkey has significant technology, very affordable, and of course, sophisticated. And mining is the future of Nigeria. So the agreement is to provide the enabling environment, both in Nigeria and in Turkey, for the 2 sides to collaborate in terms of taking mining, drilling, and relevant technologies to Nigeria, and then for the business sectors of the 2 sides to benefit. So these agreements, if you look at it, 70% is in the interest of Nigeria. So it's this time around, it is not a joke.
Okay, Ambassador Abba, just before we pause you and then come to our other guests here in the studios, usually government-to-government relations can be warm, but sometimes the experience of citizens who are resident in the host countries may not be that smooth. I mean, we've had experiences of Nigerians living elsewhere why the leaders are chummy in their relations, but Nigerians living in those countries often get maltreated, if not mistreated, from time to time. What has been the life in general of Nigerians in Turkey, and what's our size in terms of numbers? I know that Turkey is a big country.
Now, in the case of Turkey, I arrived here in April 2021, and of course, the first engagement I did was with the Nigerian community, comprising of the business people, long-term tourists, if you know what I mean, and then, of course, you have the students. Now, in Turkey itself, we have about 3,000 Nigerian students. And then in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, which is not an internationally recognized entity, we have about 16,000 Nigerians and 16,000 students actually. And these students go to Northern Cyprus through the instrumentality of the Republic of Turkey. So, and my engagement with them is that they are well treated, and they do not have any problems with the host government or with the host communities. Of course, here and there you have a few of them who run foul of the law, and then of course the law takes its course. What we do every time a Nigerian is arrested is to get to the bottom of the matter, find out what the issues are, and quite frankly, as a country of law and order, I mean Nigeria, where we prove that somebody is involved in criminalities, we do not jeopardize national prestige and the interest of the majority of Nigerians who are law-abiding in the country to try to protect the person. We let him face the law. But like I said earlier, generally speaking, they told us, Nigerians told us here, the students, the business sector, it's so-called long-term tourists. They told us they are in good state with the host government, authorities, and the local community. They are very, very happy. And also, in my interactions with officials of the host government, they have very kind words for Nigerians generally. They are well behaved and all that. So I wouldn't know what the problem is in other climes, but here in Turkey, it's generally peaceful. Nigerians are respected, they respect themselves.
All right, thank you very much, Ambassador Abba. We're going to have to pause here, but we'll return to you later on in the course of the conversation. We'll come back now to our Abuja headquarters studios, where we earlier introduced Dele Oye, who is of Nasima and also chair of the Nigeria-Turkey Business Council, as well as Garba Shehu, senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, and who was part of the president's delegation to Turkey. Mala Garba Shehu, once again, we're going to have to ask you, how did it go in Turkey?
Oh, it went exceedingly well. This is a relationship that has gained tremendously from the personal chemistry of the two leaders and respect and love for one another between our two presidents. So even when you had some underlying challenges in the relationship that could threaten normal relationships if they were allowed to explode, you could see that they have been managed in a way that arising, of course, from this visit, you can say that we have that leaders, the two countries have come to a common ground on how to handle such potentially explosive diplomatic situations. That's one important gain. But in addition to that, of course, the focus largely was security. And why Turkey? Because Turkey has gained a lot of has gained respect globally in the last 10 or so years as a military power, as a producer of high-tech military equipment, and as an influencer globally. Turkey, in their role in Iraq, in Syria, was decisive in the defeat of ISIL. Turkey, if Libya enjoys relative stability today, is on account of Turkey braving it and challenging the big powers there. Azerbaijan, you saw what happened. They took side with Azerbaijan, deploying a lot of their technology, the drone technology that Turkey has gained expertise in. And in a matter of weeks, Armenia had just raised their hands in the air. So we are not thinking in any way that Turkish military will be in our country. We're a very proud country. Certainly this has not happened before. It's not likely to happen. But the technology which everyone is using to fight crime. And so therefore, these meetings from head of state to head of state, which was the commencement of the engagement, and then going into, the bilaterals, our technical team, military, security, and intelligence leaders sitting down with their counterparts, giving a lot of time to discussions on Nigeria's needs assessment. What does Nigeria need to deal with the prevailing situation of insecurity in the country? And the president of Turkey is saying, we will come along with you, we will support you, we will deal with this. So going forward, of course, we are hoping that as we go into the new year, January, we would expect some establishment people from the defense, so that we can now concretely sign on to what to do. We expect that they will give us military support, equipment that probably we will not have to pay for. Some will pay for, but we want get Turkish support, especially their technology in dealing with the situation of insecurity. Of course, other areas of significance, you know. The thing that we did was, of course, that we placed a lot of emphasis on bilaterals. You attended a big meeting with 15, 16 other heads of state. It's difficult to say people can zero into specifics. So by way of strategy, our delegation chose to break into bilaterals and engage counterparts. Education had engagements there. Health had their own. FCT, we are expecting an inflow, quite a lot of it. Schools, hospitals, hotels. You know, he can be a funny gentleman, the president of Turkey himself. When he visited in 2016, I believe, not the last visit, and they were seeing him up at the airport, and he said, "You don't have hotels in Abuja. I'm coming to build a hotel here." And he said, "Oh, our airport," then it was the old one, not this new one. Of course, and you know, they have the world's best airport as we speak now. I'm going to build an airport here. So these are the kind of things. But apparently, things have cooled down a bit, as I said, maybe in view of the undertone, you know, of the problems in diplomacy. And COVID-19, yes, of course. And then there are difficulties, political challenges at home, which flowed into our own country, and expectation was that we'll handle it in a way that they wanted, and we're not able to do that. But I think we have overcome that now, and the two nations are ready to move forward and to realize the great potentials that are lying ahead in the relationships.
You spoke about partnership and security, but their presence won't be in Nigeria. You talked about technology. What kind of technology will they be able to give Nigeria with the high rate of insecurity in this country? In which way will it impact the security apparatus in this country?
Well, discussions are going on. They have not been finalized. But I did cite the issue of drone technology, for instance. That was the game changer in Azerbaijan and in Libya. And the deployment of even telephone technology and all of that, the ICT schemes, which most countries in the world are using to combat crimes. We're not doing much of that in this country. So we expect that we'll make advances in that regard. And what impact shall we expect? Well, the challenges we have is that in our own countries, you have little entities that some warlords say they are in charge of, and from there they launch attacks. I mean, very sad incidents. We just had 2 days ago, over this weekend in Kaduna, they came in from the forest and attacked a number of villages, and they burnt down their food, their homes, then they looted whatever they and they killed 38 as of the last count. I mean, this is barbaric and unacceptable, and certainly the country needs whatever help we can get in order to deal with this situation.
And just before the Kaduna incident, there was also the incident in Sokoto.
Exactly.
Of course, that's another sad event. Well, let's bring in now the chair of the Nigeria-Turkish Business Council, Dele Oye. Mr. Oye, give us the background to this latest interaction between the Nigerian delegation led by President Muhammadu Buhari and his Turkish counterpart. What is the level of business relationship between Nigeria and Turkey? And what are the high points?
Well, first of all, I want to start first by commending the government while focusing on the issue of security, because we all realize you cannot build in the midst of fire. We all need peace to plan for business. And I must also mention that essentially the relationship between Nigeria and Turkey dates back to the 16th century, where Libya then was a trading post for Turkey. And there are evidences that Turkish goods were traded in Kano, and essentially it was defense. They were selling defense material to Nigeria. And also down south in Nigeria, the Shita-Be Mosque, which was built in Lagos in 1894, the Sultan of Turkey sent a representative, and that mosque was built with part assistance from Turkey. So today, Nigeria-Turkey Business Council, I'm very happy to say that there's a huge opportunity between Nigeria and Turkey, because Turkey is actually a major alternative to other several trading posts we've had before between the Far East and the West, because we have the same sentiments. Turkey and Nigeria are both regional powers. We also, because of that, also have the similar experiences the way we are perceived by other global powers. So this gives itself its energy. There's an understanding. They understand our story, and it's always easier, a lot easier, to do business with Turkey. I don't even rely on the official records, because if you go to our various markets, you see almost Turkish goods everywhere. So the figures are actually much more than is currently captured. And that was one of the reasons we had the Nigerian-Turkey Business Council when the president was around, which both the Minister of Trade, both Turkey and Nigeria, co-headed, and we had the Fraser suits. And by the time with the level of deals that were captured in that settings, showed that there's already enduring business partnerships. We are not even captured. We're actually working very hard now to get the actual figures so that they can see the numbers are far more than the 2.5 billion we are currently looking at. So I think there's a huge opportunity for both countries. We have the same synergy, we have the same sentiments, and we are both under pressure to prove a point, to show that there can actually be a new relationship. And that was why, indeed, in 2005, Turkey was given observer status at the AU because of their commitment since 1998 to when they declared the Year for Africa. And the president has visited about 30 African countries. And currently, Turkish Airlines goes into 61 cities in Africa with 40 countries. So we can see that Turkey is ready to partner with Nigeria. And also during the visit, Ms. Erdogan opened the Turkish, in the 28th of October, the Cultural Institute. And our students are going there, and with the huge population also of about 16,000 students in Cyprus, in Northern Cyprus, you can see that there is a whole lot that's already going on that is not captured. So this is why we say it's important. We're quite happy with the route the government took. In fact, in that visit, which the Honorable Special did not mention, only Nigeria and Ethiopia were singled out for private meetings, bilateral meetings with the president of Turkey, and both discussions were on defense. So Turkey is ready to support at any level. And that's why I think we should all have our hands on all deck. And in fact, we have huge inquiries now. People cannot do business with other countries, especially in the Far East, putting pressure on us to do more trade delegations. We just, if not for the Omicron virus, I would have been part of this delegation. They had to cancel last minute the business aspect of it. Because we're there between 21 and 22 for the Turkey Africa. Immediately the president left, we actually followed him, a delegation, the president of Turkey, back to Turkey for that the ministers' meeting. So this one, we already had the agenda, everything set, but the Omicron virus came on, and that had to be cancelled. But we understand, and we're quite happy with the government, that the government still focus on the most important thing, security, security, security. So we are ready.
Security, security, security. You know, enhanced partnership for common development and prosperity. President Buhari has called this Turkish-Nigeria relation as a game changer. What do you expect from this, and when will we start seeing the gains of these relations that we have?
I've already mentioned to you, there is substantial business relationship.
Implementation is key here.
Yeah, the 6 or 7 emojis that were signed are actually focused. These are what really give the underlying power to any business you can do. Because if there's no structure, it's difficult to resolve when you have areas of dispute or issues. We normally come up in commercial disputes between countries when you do business. All these have been put in place now. We are at the stage of implementation. I can tell you from the responses we are getting, most of the initial trading partners we have, people, and Nigerians are turning the vehicle now towards Turkey. And I can also tell you one unique thing about the relationship. When we were doing the business council, the wife of the president insisted that she wanted to see Nigerian goods. We had to do a solo exhibition of goods produced in Nigeria, not necessarily industrial goods, but things manufactured by women and youths. She spent 4 hours personally with them, and she will see the amount of goods she bought. And I also made sure when Nelo Park, the president of Turkey-Nigeria relations, Turkey Foreign Relations came. We bought beads for them, and they were so happy, excited. There's actually an African house in Turkey where they store African goods, and those goods are sold, and money is sent by without duty or tax to support women and youths who are involved in this production. So part of the basic thing, what we're also trying to do, is that the change should not be a one-way. Although currently we are doing LNG, and maybe to some extent, officially we lose in our favor, but I know in the real terms, the amount of goods coming is far more than we send. So,
which is actually the key point. You said, I'd asked you, I said, look, what are the high points of this business relationship? What is it that we are trading in, and what are the prospects? Now, you've mentioned LNG. I mean, Nigeria has a number of global customers with regard to liquefied natural gas. But other than Turkish airlines that you see here and the plenitude of Turkish furniture in some of our upscale furniture showrooms, what is it that captures the business interest of both countries, and where are we at a disadvantage?
Well, currently, I can tell you in the agri sector, sesame seeds, about 25% of Nigerian global exports goes to Turkey. I think for 2 years ago, it was about 2.5 billion naira. But it's growing, and there's actually huge demand for it. There's also huge demand. If we've agreed at the council that it must be two ways for it to be sustainable. Or we'll just go back to our usual current experiences with our previous trading partners. And they're actually quite willing to develop capacities in Nigeria. And that is where the interest, why this is quite unique. They're ready to move industries down here so that things can also go back to them. So these are the things we are all putting together with the embassy here and also the embassy there in Turkey. So I can assure you, it's very rare. You see your trading partner telling you, what can you give me? I don't want to be the one only transferring to you because, and after some time, you even have problem of payment. Because I need you to develop your capacity. And that's where we are working closely with them. And they're also ready to support training. They're also ready to support a whole lot of assistance. Even from the chambers level, we have sent some people there for training at free, completely free, which they are ready to support so I can build our own capacity. I know initially, in this initial time, being a bigger power, they're going to send more than we can send. But if they take more interest, also in our hydrocarbons and everything, you will see Nigeria huge potential there too. Which is why we're quite happy that was included in part of the agreement that was signed by government. So we have a lot to export, but for us to capture this officially so that people can actually track and government can also gain revenue. Because when you trade informally, so then it's difficult to also collect the revenue that is due to both parties. So this is why we, at the council, we are registering a lot of our members and encouraging them to trade properly so that they can also get official benefits. Because there are also benefits attached when you do things on the table instead of under the table. So I think in the long run, with the way and the mindset from Turkey, it will generally, the balance of trade will generally even up. But now there's no way because they're a bigger power, they have more industrial goods to send to us. We're actually changing our current industrial partners to Turkey. So they're obviously going to gain. But a lot of people, I know Boa had is bringing a huge factory from there to be manufacturing this in plaster of Paris and all that. So there's a lot of transfer of technology ongoing. And if it were developed, depending on the FCTA, in fact, during the last meeting, there was an agreement signed between the AFCTA and the Minister of Turkey, Minister of Trade for Turkey, which showed that they're already also keen into our current African agenda. Only very few other world powers are interested in our sources in that area. So but Turkey is willing to support. So these are the things I said. Initially, it may not be 100%, but we're going to work towards it. And that's our job at the council, to make sure working closely with government. Government has picked the highest point, give us security. Once we have that, it gives opportunity for people to plan and develop. So we're working on that. It's not 100% yet, but we're working to get there.
Okay, thank you very much, Dele. We'll return to you. Let's get back to Ambassador Abba. Ambassador Yusuf Abba, while we're still on the trade relations between Nigeria and Turkey, give us a sense. I mean, you're just about 8 months on the tour, but give us a sense of what the demand and supply situation is like with regard to the cardinal items of trade. between both countries?
Yes, like the president of the co-chairman of the Nigeria-Turkey Business Council just said, it's work in progress. The heavy lifting is already done by the two presidents. It's left for us to de-escalate the processes to the institutional level and then, of course, the business sector level. The framework has been set. Confidence has been built on both sides of the aisle. So but prior to this, I want to add to what he had said earlier. We have about 40 Turkish firms currently operating in Nigeria. One of it is the ARC Electric. It's involved in Nigeria's integrated power projects. And then you have the Hyatt Group, that is, they have a multi-million-dollar factory in Ogun State where they manufacture all kinds of sanitary products, and of course they export to West African countries. It's indeed the largest from what we have seen in the business data here. It's the largest investment that a Turkish company has in the whole of West Africa. So other areas of demand from Nigeria, and let me point out the current status of transaction between Nigeria and Turkey is in favor of Nigeria. We have trade volume of 2 billion as of 2020, and it's 1.2 billion in favor of Nigeria. Yes, we have LNG, we have crude oil, we also have tin, we have cocoa, and other agricultural products which they use here as raw material. You won't believe it, apart from sesame, cashew nuts and peanuts are also very big products in demand here in Turkey, and a lot of it comes from Nigeria. We also have semi-processed leather from Nigeria. That is also in very high demand because the quality of leather they get from Nigeria is something they think is better than what they get from other places. So the list is large, it's expanding with the synergy going on between the private sectors of both countries. Very important to state that the establishment of the Nigeria-Turkey Business Council is one of the strategies that was in place to ensure the involvement of the private sector of both sides in what the government is doing. And is also one of the strategies in ensuring that trade volume between the two countries reaches 5 billion based on the aspiration of our two leaders. So it's a work in progress, and a lot is being done at the level of, at the bureaucratic level and also at the private sector level. I wish to seize this opportunity to commend the Nigeria Business Council because the Nigeria-Turkey Business Council with NASIMA as the focal institution. It was a deliberate arrangement to have NASIMA as the focal institution so that we do not have some kind of disjointed interaction with the organized private sector of Turkey.
Okay, medical tourism has always been, like a bone in the neck of government. A lot of money goes to other countries in medical tourism. And Turkey is saying they're going to build a hospital in Nigeria. You said there are scholarships for Nigerian students. How will it impact our medical, arena? Will there be training for our doctors? And if these hospitals is built, will it reduce medical tourism out of this country?
Yes. Before we get to that stage, there is an arrangement for the Turkish government is offering Nigeria where you have a need for medical evacuation from Nigeria. The Turkish government were in discussion with them to provide medical services for Nigerians in Turkey at public hospitals. They are very, very big public hospitals, large capacity hospitals, and state-of-the-art equipments, nuclear medicine and all that. So they are offering, because the hospitals are overcapacitated, So they have overcapacity of medical facilities, larger than the population they have. A part of the infrastructure layout they have, and unfortunately, the population is not able to fully utilize what they have. So they decided to offer some of these services to friendly countries. And Nigeria came as one of the favored countries to benefit from this medical service. So you come here, you take a medical service. What you pay for is just flight ticket, and you come here, you get medical services at almost zero cost. This is something that is in the process of being actualized as a prelude to when we have them come into Nigeria to establish big hospitals. Like someone said on the panel earlier, I think it's the Nasima president. He said we have a situation where we
We appear to have lost the audio to Ambassador Yusuf Abbas' Zoom connection to us. I'm sure that our engineers are working flat out to get that restored. Ambassador Abba, if you can hear us, we're not hearing you a moment ago. If you are back on, perhaps you complete your response to our question. Otherwise, we're back to the Abuja studios. Malagaba Shehu, there are a number of perspectives, to what obviously was a successful trip by Mr. President, but you may wish to the extent that it's shall we say permissible under the usual discrete law. Why did it take this long for Nigeria to discover Turkey as a potential supplier of required gadgets and support in our fight for terrorism that has lingered for over a decade?
Well, I think we're all learning as we move on. Turkey themselves had followed the development path which we have been on, and arising from complete national mobilization, discipline, and commitment to nation, they pulled themselves out of that more or less. They are still on it, but they had wanted EU badly to join EU, and they had tried all the years, and on every turn, and they were denied EU membership, even though they are an effective, actually, perhaps a very strategic member of NATO, and they're a key player in Europe. But that EU membership had been denied them. And, the challenges they have in Asia, big countries there that are very competitive, China, South Korea, Japan, and all of that. So, but you can see that they took their own mantle, and they have forged ahead. They are growing at a rate faster than any European economy today. So we are learning also. We want to learn from them. Why did it take so long for us to discover? As I said earlier on, I think that much as that respect and mutual appreciation of one another between our two leaders had been there, we had problems in underlying relationships. And I think made this point earlier on. When this divisive opposition from Turkey, launched an attempt, for instance, to overthrow and possibly assassinate President Erdogan. And they were pointing at our own country and saying, well, you are harboring some of these elements in our own country. Hand them over. Of course, a country yearning for investors, calling for people to bring one, you can't start expelling investors. Otherwise, others won't come. Certainly, you would lose your appeal to investors. So I think that while this process to resolve these issues, because they needed to really get that sense that we as a nation, we will not allow any part of our country to be used to undermine them. And even when there is suspicion that perhaps money generated from some of these businesses, there's no evidence that anybody can point to. But in any case, we have very diligent authorities in the country, the NFIU, the Central Bank of Nigeria, all of that. Certainly, the assurances have been given and apparently accepted that we will not permit whoever it is, whether individual or group, to use whether resources generated from Nigeria or to destabilize Turkey or any other nation for that matter. And I must say that the overriding goodwill itself, I keep coming back to this issue between the two leaders, made Erdogan, the last time he came here in October, he came with a team of businessmen in his own this thing. So, and I'm happy to hear that the chamber is ready anytime this Omicron thing, clears away, they would. So it's chummy, it's a strong relationship, and yes, as I said earlier, even the global appreciation of Turkey, the respect that Turkey has generated for itself militarily, is something that is coming to the awareness of the world of late.
Okay, indeed. You said the relationship is charming. Let me now come to Dele Oye. The fact that Turkey has not been fully accepted into the EU, will that in a way create a gap, in the implementation, especially on trade between the two countries?
Well, just to add to his contribution, before 1998, Turkey focus was completely on Europe and that part of the world. But in 1998, they declared Year for Africa. That was a program they launched. And that way the focus on Africa continued. And today they have sustained it. I think they've had over 30 visits of their president to different African countries, which is very unusual for any African, for any leader in the world. So the issue of we don't need the permission of Europe to do business with Turkey. In fact, that is what is driving the synergy. Because both parties, you've been both looking for partners. And so you discover this is Africa here. We have similar history. And if you go back to the old empire in Turkey, you discover that even whether there are black people who were in their parliament, once you are good anywhere in the world, they invite you. So they've always tried to have a global perspective. But now we're quite happy that the whole attention is focused on Africa. So we don't need permission from EU. In fact, it actually is a catalyst for the reason why they are looking at Africa, because they now see that what they've been looking far in Europe, they can deal in Africa. And I must also mention, I can even tell you very frankly that the quality of Turkey is European standard. And if you even look at most of those European economies, like Germany, take for example, Turkey has about 4 million Turkish. Most of their factories are driven by Turkish technologies. So that is what we are gaining. It's much more higher than you were getting in the Far East, where we are having current challenges of quality or even people keeping to agreements. So I can tell you, we're going to have a European standard at a lesser price than that for Europe. So the win is a win-win situation. You're having a better quality at a lesser price. And that's what Turkey represents. So we're quite happy at the marriage.
All right, Delio, thank you very much. You appear to be a student of history. You keep talking about the empire relations.
The Ottoman Empire. I remember in the 16th century, the Borno Empire had an embassy in Spain. And that was when the Ottoman Empire was in power then. And one of the ways Ali Gaji was able to get his weapons then from Turkey. Even way back then when the Borno Empire was strongly. It's history.
That was before Idris Aluma?
Yeah, Ali Gaji was there before Idris Aluma.
All right, that's great. But let's return to Ambassador Yusuf Abba. Ambassador Yusuf Abba, while we are still on the historical path, I'm just wondering, are you joining us via Zoom from the old city of Constantinople, which is now Istanbul, or you are in Ankara. Just earlier, when you were talking about getting hospitals and utilizing health services and health facilities, at least we should mention, because we've had them on Good Morning Nigeria, there is a Turkish hospital here in Abuja. It's called Nizamiye. They also have educational institutions also here in Abuja, and I believe elsewhere around the country. And health issues also engage the attention of the Honorable Minister of Health. We don't have him here to give us the details of precisely what went on. But let's just put that in the basket in the meantime and follow up on the issue that Managaba Shehu was trying to explain in terms of some of the challenges that we had in our relations in recent times, which have now apparently been smoothened over. There have also been reports of illegal shipment of armament from Turkey into Nigeria, and some of these have been intercepted by the customs at our ports. How worrisome is this? If the Turkish authorities are now indicating that they will be of help to us in terms of defense supplies, but also in terms of intelligence, we would need even greater support, particularly tracking illicit small arms and light weapons.
Yes, thank you very much. This is part of the issues that the two presidents agreed on, to share, for the two countries to share information, and then also to share infrastructure in terms of tracking of movement of arms. Illegal shipment of arms from any part of the world to any other part is worrisome. So, but in the case of Turkey, there is some kind of control. And it's one of the reasons that agreements are signed, so that the framework is in place for proper management of transactions. Now, the emphasis in the transaction relating to armaments between Nigeria and Turkey is on government-to-government transaction. So it's going to be very difficult for any arm to, we are not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be very difficult for the institutions of Turkey, the Defense Industries Corporation of Turkey, the Defense Industries Complex, to allow arms to be shipped to any part. And because it has larger implication. Anytime, anywhere you have an activity, terrorist activity, and weapons used are traced to any particular country, and it's discovered that these weapons are accessed illegally, there are repercussions on the country, on the image and integrity of the country. Turkey is fully aware of that. And because of that, they are willing to cooperate with Nigeria to ensure it's part of the framework of the general assistance they're talking about. In addition to supply of weapons, appropriate weapons, there's also the issue of tracking and monitoring to ensure that weapons do not get into illegal hands.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll have to get back to you so that we can elaborate more on what you just said. But we'll take a break now. When we return, the conversation will continue. Don't go away.
The digital switchover project, which is commonly referred to as DSO, which entails television channels switching from analog to digital broadcasting. It's one of the biggest projects embarked upon by this administration. Branded as Free TV, offers its viewers about 60 digital channels, including sports, music, movies, and news. The federal government has licensed about 23 set-top box manufacturers. 7 of them have self-production, employing several thousands of people. We've made it now compulsory for all stations in Nigeria to only broadcast productions made in Nigeria for products which are produced in Nigeria.
Finally, The hero of Nigeria's democracy has arrived. He shall usher us into a new phase of development, peace, and prosperity. He is the father of the new Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Welcome to another season of giving Nigerians hope yet again. We are sure of a great future for both ourselves and generations yet unborn. We look forward to your leading us as a nation into our manifest destiny. Though the challenges against us as a people are many, we know that your leadership shall set us on the right path to our greatness. A new dawn beckons on us all, and having you as our president is a precursor to this. Thank you for believing in Nigeria. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Since coming into office in 2015, the Buhari administration has recorded unprecedented achievements in all sectors, especially in the provision of infrastructure, which is the key to economic growth. Never in the history of this country has any administration done so much with so little. Recall that when this administration came into office, the price of crude oil, which provides for 80% of Nigeria's budgetary revenues and 95% of foreign exchange earning, dropped drastically, thus reducing the amount of resources available to the federal government. In spite of this, the administration has continued apace with massive infrastructure developments.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, you are welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We still have all our three guests. I want to return very quickly to Ambassador Yusuf Abba. Ambassador Yusuf Abba, I would like you to also weigh in on this. Earlier, Malam Garba Shehu was giving a synopsis, as it were, of the rise of Turkey, if you like, from the ashes of the Ottoman Empire, the only country that is located on two continents, Europe and Asia. What is it that we can learn from Turkey and therefore leverage on that for quick wins from this charming relationship?
Well, Turkey is a growing global power, the second largest contributor of troops to NATO, and then of course it's the most influential country in the Mediterranean. You don't take anything from the Mediterranean without the consent of Turkey. And then, of course, it's also very, very influential in Middle East politics. So it is, first and foremost, the geopolitics. We are in ECOWAS, Nigeria is in ECOWAS, Nigeria dominates ECOWAS. The situation, there's nothing you take from West Africa without the consent of Nigeria. So resilience is one of the things we must learn from Turkey. Resilience, and then the resilience is based on the fact that every Turkish citizen supports the government of Turkey. So we need that for the country to be resilient. There's absolute need for unity in order for the country to achieve its full potential. So essentially, for me, I think that is the most important thing to learn from Turkey. Elite consensus is a very big issue, and we must learn that. Without elite consensus, without total support for government and its policies, for the common good of all, there is always some minuses. Essentially that. Be it in industry, and because industry, the private sector, all that derives their stability from the political system. And the political system derives its stability from support of the citizen. So there's a need for every citizen to rally around its government, for the government to be able to achieve its set agenda.
And at every fora the president has been in the past 2 months, he has, called for equity in distribution of vaccines. What are we looking at and what are we getting from Turkey to support it?
Turkey has is offering Nigeria about 8 million doses of vaccine. They've made the offer, and then it's left for the processes and procedure for accessing it. And of course, they've also offered to make available to Nigeria research, outcome of ongoing research for greater understanding of the COVID-19 pandemic, and then of course the emerging variants. There's a lot of research going on, and one of the problems that has been discovered is that there's not much understanding about the nature and scope of the virus. So there's a lot going on here, and they've offered to share the outcome of the research with Nigeria. They've also offered They've offered manpower development in the area of medical sciences, nuclear sciences, and all that. So the vaccines are available, the processes and procedures for accessing it is what we are now working on.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Abba. Let's come back to Madam Garba Shehu. Madam Garba Shehu, a point of concern for us on Good Morning Nigeria has been the translation of MOUs, translation of agreements, translation of deals into reality. I want to just take one aspect, energy and hydrocarbons. The president was in Sochi, Russia. The president was in Saudi Arabia a couple of years ago. We've had the China-Africa Relations Forum. We've had Indian-Africa Relations Forum. And the plans, talk. When are we reducing this on our part from 35,000 feet to 300 feet so that we all can see it? I mean, everybody knows, for instance, if we're talking about hydrocarbons, if it's refining, we have a dire need for refineries, not just for our local needs, but also to supply. If we had 2 or 3 more Dangote refineries, I'm sure Nigerians and Nigeria will be delighted about those prospects. So, back again to the question, who does the follow-up after things of this nature?
When he came back for the second term and looked back at the first term, this problem he raised was seen as the biggest impediment to implementation, and on account of which now the president gave approval for the setting of the project's monitoring unit in the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. That unit has made several advances. And of course, the latest turn, as you may have noticed, you may have seen, was projected during the mid-term retreat that held about 2 months ago, at which the president launched the communication arm of that program, of the project. And by it then, as we speak today, you have a large television screen on the president, in the president's office, and the ministries are expected to input daily progress on matters that are before them. So at any one point then, this PMU in SGF's office, in the office of the president, is able to say this is how well we are doing and this is how well it is. So if there are any problems, they can be seen early and tackled. Yes, follow-up had been a problem, but it's being vigorously tackled as we speak today.
Okay, that's quite nice. Let me come to you, Dele Oye. How will these agreements, this trade agreement, possibly impact, MSMEs in Nigeria? as they grow, entrepreneurs coming up every day in Nigeria, and they really want to go into export. How will it impact them and encourage them to go into it?
Well, first of all, I must say that before you can do any proper trade, the legal framework is very important. Because it's very intentional trade. Because this issue of dispute resolution, what are your opportunities, and what kind of rights you can have even in the other country. It actually regulates trade. So that's why we're quite happy that government now, for the first time, especially with this one, has made sure that all the fundamentals are already in place. It's for us to now domicile it with the private sector so that we can, I must mention with this, and I must commend government, even though we're not fully involved in negotiating some of the issues that affect us or regulate us. And I hope government can also take this as a learning curve to know anything involving trade and investment, get the chamber involved. Because we're all pulling in the same direction. I can give an example with Turkey. DEIC, which is the Department in Foreign Relations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, regulates all foreign trade. There were about 104 countries involved. Even my appointment was approved by the Turkish government because they had to be sure that you understand what we are talking about. So, and you can see that everybody does the same thing. There's a national agenda set up for the year, which all the private sector must key into. And that, you don't discover that everyone is pulling in one direction. Mm-hmm. And that's why we are saying we're quite happy now that government has taken this initiative to involve. Even my meeting here today, my interview was organized by the True Turkey, the ambassador there. That shows that we're all working together. And I think we need much more confidence because they can only do the agreements. We implement it technically. It is the businesses we do that brings in the taxes and bring the benefits for both, and also create the employment. And that's why we must all see each other as partners in progress. And that's why we're also commending the government for the initiative that will be taken. In fact, the copies of the agreements were sent to him by Foreign Affairs. So which shows that government this time is ready to make this right, to do it properly. And also in business delegations too, if government is going, always ensure that you pick leaders of the organized private sector. But most times there's always the mistake of picking certain individuals. They can only talk about their business. But we represent over 70,000 businesses all over Nigeria. And there's the biggest private sector organization in Nigeria is NASEMA. There's no other private sector organization you have in Nigeria that is as big as Lagos Chamber or Abuja Chamber. But these are our contingent members. So when you are talking to me, I'm able to affect so many nationwide, in every major cities, in 70 locations in Nigeria. So what I'm trying to say is that our spread, our unique, our broad objectives gives power or effect or meaning to whatever government is doing. And like the ambassador has rightly said, they insisted that this partnership must be with the chamber so that it will not be a face-to-face dealing, but it will be an institutional dealing. Mm-hmm. So we're quite happy with this, and I will hope government will extend this same strategy to almost every sector, every country. Coming to the issue of what you mentioned, that there will be several agreements with different countries, it depends on how that country wants to play. Turkey is putting both resources and attention and even power behind whatever they are doing. But we've signed several other ones. Some countries just also take it back and sleep. So this marriage, the partner is ready to consummate. And that's why we're all here today. So if we've signed others, it's not the problem of government or the business. It also depends on the political will in that other country. So that's why we're quite happy that this
one. A breath of fresh air for.
Yes, this marriage has started.
Relations.
And maybe very soon, children will come out of it. And the children will be the industries that will be giving birth to.
The wives, the latest wife.
No, it's not just the latest wife, it's the favorite wife.
Oh, that's a good wife.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're not going to say this to the Youth Corps member who's gotten an army officer into trouble for proposing on the parade ground. And some of those issues there, as was indicated in the Municipal Review, as an act of indiscretion on the part. But tell us something, because Ambassador Abba made two comments or raised two issues with regard to, if you like, the critical success factors in Turkey: unity, elite consensus, and the drive to say, look, our country must excel. When can we begin to generate this kind of attitude amongst us so that we don't pull in different directions? Because you can be sure, I mean, you speak of the organized private sector, those who have political leverage may seek to leapfrog you and then seek to get their own benefits. Is it possible to say, look, these are our areas of critical needs at this material time? So in dealing with this entity, this is what we are going to focus on. It is not just, I give you an example. I mean, I talked about Turkish furniture and so on and so forth. Last weekend, the vice president opened a shared facility somewhere in Benin, Edo State, for furniture makers, obviously because furniture making is capitalized, or headquartered in Edo, to say, look, let's get the needed machinery to improve the quality of our exports, or the quality of our production, or the quality of our consumption. If it is, whatever it is, if it is apparel or otherwise, we'll focus on it. Is it possible to get that kind of consensus from, say, Nasima?
Well, the issue of business has to do with the opportunities. But if there is a national commitment to say, this is what we want to achieve in the next 5 years, and everybody has a buy-in, you will see investment will go down. I can give you an example. There's a particular government I don't want to mention so that it doesn't look as if you are praising the past. When we were dealing with the issue of furniture, it's government policy that drives investment. If you are able to support it with the appropriate tariff structure, we don't believe in banning. Banning only enrich the people who control the banning. But if you are able to use tariff to say, in the next 5 years, this is the policy, and it will be sustained. If there is no policy somersault, people will take their money there and follow that national commitment. But it is for government to be concerned. That's why there must be complete, continuous interaction between the government and the private sector. But if you deal with individuals because they are very large, that man will only think about himself. But if you want to really evolve a national strategy, you need bigger players who are everywhere in terms of the multiplicity of their members and also the objectives that which they have. That's why I said, as much as possible, you can see this is already working because government and the Chamber of Commerce are working together. So that's why you can see some of the gains. Whatever they do, I'm the one going to implement most of them. And I'm working closely with them. Where we have issues, we engage, and that is what we want to do. If we play this in every sector, you will discover that you have what called sustained development. I can give you an example, which I always tell most people in government. If you want your policy to outlive you, get the private sector to put money in it. Because if the next government comes, tries to shake it, I will fight it all the way to Supreme Court because my money is involved. But if it's just a policy, the next government cancels it. There's nobody that will protest because there's no private sector money in it. So that's why we always say, involve us so that we can help you let the thing outlive whatever goes. So we don't keep losing every time because resources are always poured in at every policy. Whether you like it or not, a lot of money has gone, a lot of planning has gone in. But if there is no private sector investment in it, the next guy can change it.
Dele, the point you've raised now is a very critical one. I would like Ambassador Yusuf Abba to also respond to this. In Nigeria, local politics is called, continuity, because he's talking about the discontinuity that tends to affect policies, and then the so-called policies somersault on account of changes in leadership. Should there be a rush by Nigeria to maximize the current opportunities in Turkey as President Erdogan is in office, or we can be assured of stability as saying that, look, these agreements are already being institutionalized, come what may, it is for us to firm up our own end?
Well, I think the relationship between Nigeria and Turkey is a sustainable relationship, which, like I've said many times, is based on trust. And I don't have of course, every time you have an agreement, you have to seize the moment. I don't know about rush, but I think we should seize the moment and do the right thing. It is doubtful that whether the government is, whether it is
We seem to have lost the audio again there, and that should be it on the program this morning. Let me now sign up our guest, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Dele Oye, First Deputy National President, Nigeria Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, and Chair, Nigeria Turkey Business Council. Thank you for your input.
Very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
And Ambassador Ismail Yusuf Abba, Nigeria's ambassador to Turkey. Thank you so much for your contribution. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Sports Update is next.
Aqua United started the defense of their Nigerian Professional Football League title with a comprehensive 3-0 home win against Kano Pillars in Uyo on Sunday. Winger Ezekiel Bassey scored the curtain raiser late in the first half, and Ubong Friday set up Chukwude for the second goal in the 52nd minute, while Friday added the third goal deep into stoppage time. Also on Sunday, Enugu Rangers recorded a 2-1 away win against Katsina United at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium. Ozzy Martins put the visitors ahead in the 13th minute, while Mustafa Salisu equalized for Katsina United in the 35th minute. Martins netted the winning goal 9 minutes after the break. And in Aba, Eyimba edged out Abia Warriors 2-1 in the Oriental Derby, while at the Ape Aku Stadium, Lobby Stars raged back from a goal down to earn a share of the spoils against Rivers United. And in the English Premier League Sunday's fixtures, it was another rousing win for Manchester City, who outclassed Newcastle United 4-0 at the St James Park. Pep Guardiola had João Cancelo to thank as he provided the early assist for Ruben Dias before netting a stunning strike midway through the second half, with Riyad Mahrez and Raheem Sterling getting the other 2 goals.
Mahrez, 3-0, no! The ball is perfect to Jesus. Jesus keeps on going, and there's a tap in for Raheem Sterling. 4 for City.
The win saw Manchester City take their tally to 44 points as they remain top in the league standings.
Let's go over now to the foreign scene.
As hunger and poverty continue to affect millions of Afghans, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, has pledged to set up a humanitarian trust fund for the country. The crisis is causing alarm with billions of dollars in aid and assets frozen by the international community after the Taliban takeover of the country in August this year. An OIC resolution released after the meeting said the Islamic Development Bank would lead the efforts to free up assistance by the first quarter of 2022. It also urged Afghanistan's rulers to abide by obligations under the International Human Rights Conventions, especially with regards to the rights of women, children, youth, elderly, and people with special needs. The OIC meeting did not give the new Taliban government any formal international recognition, and Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi was excluded from the official photograph taken during the event. Muttaqi said his government has the right to be officially recognized. In a speech to delegates, he said the U.S. freezing of assets is a clear violation of human rights of Afghans and can be interpreted as enmity with an entire nation. Now to Africa, people across Sudan have joined mass protests over military takeover as they mark the 3rd anniversary of a popular uprising. Hundreds of thousands marched in the capital Khartoum, where security forces responded with tear gas. Demonstrations in 2019 led to the overthrow of Sudan's long-term authoritarian president, Omar al-Bashir. Civilian and military leaders then entered an uneasy power-sharing agreement until the coup in October. Last month, the country's ousted Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok was reinstated after being put under house arrest in the military takeover. But the move has failed to stop protests in the country, where demonstrators have been calling for an entirely civilian political leadership.
And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Join us tomorrow for another edition. I am Jumo Yosado.
And I'm Kingsley Yosado.
Lives are in your hands while you drive. Protect yourself and others on the road. Road Matters, shown on the network service of the NTA. Join us.
Welcome to the world's first football scouting reality show, Football Dreams. We kicked off an extensive scouting selection for football talents in 2019, and together with our African Football Network, we've evaluated over 3,000 players from 13 countries. They all share the same dream, that one day they will become a professional football player. Only 28 players made it to fight for a contract with a professional European team in the grand finale of Football Dreams 2021 in Benin. Our main host and former professional footballer, England national player, and FA Cup winner John Fashanu will guide us through the show and push the players through extremely hard and challenging tests. Halfway to the final, 14 of the 28 players will be eliminated, but only one player will win the professional contract.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
Did you get to see the way Dele Babadu pulls this? Don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, child, and issue. That is we can do more with less people.
If we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of...
Congratulations, you were able to sign Tino Werner from RB Leipzig.
So you take water before your workout.
People have used that phone, using TikTok to do that.
Should I go for test?
A lot of people don't even have resources.
I'm Cecil, and this is the Medley Show on NTA.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Say, a generous person is not a fool, and anybody who gives a gift also has a reason for giving the gift, good or bad. And now, in the act of giving something, there are two people, the one who's receiving the gift and the one who is giving the gift. Both of them somehow should be appreciated. Now, you find that there are some people who would like to give gifts, but they would feel that, this person is already too rich. What can I give to this person? Yes, there are people like that who all they do is receive because they feel that the person giving already has too much. But our elders say, no matter how small what you are giving is, don't worry. The thoughts really count because they have said, we do not refuse a gift. That means no gift is ever too small. No gift is to be seen and, in quote, laughed at. It's actually the thought that truly, truly matters. A person may want to give a gift to show appreciation for something from the goodness of his or her own heart, but may find it difficult in maybe knowing what to do. Basically, because of what I said before, they may feel the person whom they're thinking of giving that to has too much. But our elders have said, the plans in a man's heart may not rise as high as a man's knee when they are put into action. So the lazy man does only the little he can. No, this time we're not saying your gift is lazy. No, but they're just saying that you have these very huge plans in your heart, but maybe because of financial constraints, you're not able to buy exactly that thing you want for that person. And so, just as the lazy man would do when it comes to work, do same with a gift. Do what you can. It could be your time. It could be just sending a message to check on the person. It could be helping out when they need some help. There is nobody in this world that is so rich that would not appreciate a kind gesture. So, who are you? Are you the one who just back to you in another format? Blessed is the hand that giveth and the one that taketh. Remember that? Let's think about this. And to help us put it in perspective, let me read something to you. When a benefactor is not absolutely happy over the quantity or quality of a gift, he may politely plead with the receiver to have it, for the hand is not as long as the leg. But the receiver, who is definitely satisfied, would counter this by saying that it is the host who has any food at all to serve a guest that would say, just manage this. What would he who has nothing to offer say? That is the question. So for our thoughts for the week, are you satisfied with just receiving and never giving because you feel everybody has more than you? Think about it, my friend, because always receiving and never giving doesn't give room for growth. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care of yourselves and remember, blessed is the hand that giveth than the one that taketh. Bye-bye.
Consider your personal style for a moment, if you would. Is it intentional, carefully curated, or is it random and unrooted? Does your style tell a story? Better yet, does it tell your story? Does it capture the essence of your spirit and your personality? Lastly, does your style leave an impression? It's not about a budget. It's about making choices to lend a bit of soul to your wardrobe and add that third dimension to the way you present yourself. Today, our stylish pursuits take us through the bustling commercial districts of Lagos and Abuja, from Mushin markets to Gariki Area 1. And I can assure you it's going to be a trip well spent. Welcome to your weekly survey of style and culture across the globe. I am Onyekachi Oba, and this is Today's Style. Can an intentional choice of footwear make a real impact? One enterprising designer certainly thinks so. The young CEO behind our featured collection today is bringing a refreshing perspective to the shoe game. Let's see how 32 Collections is setting the right example for building a successful lifestyle brand. There are plenty of shoe brands out there where the bottom line is to sell products and make money. Some entrepreneurs, however, crave something deeper. They're setting out to make a real impact on their customers and even on the world at large. He earned 2 advanced degrees in economics and information science before he found an outlet that reflected his identity and expertise. Finding his niche in the footwear industry has been a difficult risk, but ultimately worth it. With his brand 32 Collections, he wants to evoke an emotional connection and tap into your way of life. The brand's appeal lies in its simplicity. Take a close look at the finishing. It's immaculate, and easily the first thing that catches your eye. Then the sleek textures, enhanced all the more by the modern silhouettes and purposefully minimalist design. At its core, 32 Collections is a lifestyle brand infused with youthful energy and vibrance. The brand converges the stylish footwear needs of men, women, and little ones with functional, creative, and unique designs.
I got curious about how the process was going to be, shoemaking, making slippers, sandals. So I spoke to my friend that was already in the business, and he introduced me to 1 or 2 guys in Mushin. That was even way before I got to know how much you sell leather, the quality of leather, buy this instead of buying that. When I started, it was just I got white nylon. I didn't even have a stamp, so like my logo was never on my slippers. So I bought white nylon, like 100 pieces. So I was just delivering like that. With time, I made my logo, and then I also had my logo on the nylon, and then shoe boxes. So basically, this is not the business where you have to look for 100,000 naira to set up first. You don't even have to have already made slippers and shoes because you might not get someone to purchase them. This is you meeting up with friends and family, telling them that, okay, I recently just started this shoe and slippers business. If you guys want to, because I know that it is through friends and family that you meet other people. When your family is wearing a family member wears something that you made, and other people are seeing the fine slippers and fine shoes. It is my brother that made it. My friend made it. Can I give you his number?
Making shoes for the thrill seeker, the adventurer, the transporter, or the luxury lover involve telling different stories, but essentially keeping the messaging consistent. For this brand, the message is that quality is paramount.
I wake up in the morning, leave Bagada, go to Mushin, monitor what they are doing. Sometimes I buy the materials myself, and sometimes I buy other things myself just to make sure everything is perfect. You need to make sure there is a bond between you and then the people that work for you. The fact that I am there supervising them, and then I always want my customers to come back for more, there is no question about it. I just have to give quality. And that starts from buying the leather, production, details, even sewing part of the materials and packaging.
Consumers like brands they can relate to. For 32 Collections, the appeal is easy to identify, especially among young people who can relate to very specific tenets of the brand's messaging. They like the fact that it's a homegrown brand that embraces local craftsmanship and talents. They like to see and support the efforts of other young people. Seeing a young person build a brand from scratch is undisputedly inspiring. In an industry of machines and mass production, it's endearing to find a brand that brings back that handmade authenticity and allows customization to incorporate their individual tastes.
Mushin market is the largest retail leather market in Nigeria. I already have like 2 to 3 people that I buy from, and these are people that guarantee you the best quality. So what I usually do is I go there, I buy the leathers myself just to make sure it's authentic and original. And then I do what we call quality control, sitting with them, supervising. I usually tell people it's not about just slippers looking fine. It's about the work and, the stress and everything it has taken to, produce that particular design. I can make a slippers and another shoemaker will make his own. And then in my case, I'm putting a little bit extra design so that when people see them wearing it, you can say, who is your plug? So you have customers or you have random people eating you up with their own personal design. I have a friend that wanted to get married last year, August. He said his dad is going to be wearing a shorty. And that was where the idea came up. I don't mind spending more on buying another, set of leathers or buying something else just to make sure it's unique.
32 Collections credits its success to a deep understanding of its target audience, as well as the versatile wants and styles. Meeting all these needs requires research to evolve existing concepts and to create a culture.
I carry out my research on the side. I bring in my own style. I try to know what's trending. I try to kind of integrate my own imagination into, the production of the slippers and the shoes. You need to carry out research, know different types of leather. You need to know what you are into, terminologies. You need to know the names. You need to know different designs. You need to know everything. I had friends that were in the business before me. I was just, always talking to them. How do you do this? How do you do that? And then they just used to, give me their own piece of advice. Thank God for the internet and social media. You see what is in vogue. You see what people are wearing. You see what people are buying more, and you see what you can do to make people, to drive the traffic to your own page.
Paramount to building a successful lifestyle brand is growing and maintaining relationships. A lot of entrepreneurs have great ideas but poor execution. For instance, having a great product but not putting enough effort into marketing or interacting with your customer base. Toby can't afford either of these missteps and has put painstaking effort into his social media campaigns, as well as handling all aspects of customer service himself. He sometimes makes in-person deliveries to build a relationship with his customers, a decision that has rewarded him with their loyalty.
Customer relation, I do it myself. I talk to them. I try to keep up, check on them. Some I give extra gifts so that they can come back. I even have customers that take screenshots of other people's pages and ask me and say, is this not your design? One of the advantages of delivering yourself is, they actually get to meet you in person and they see that this is someone I can relate with. Every customer is important, regardless of the one buying just one pair, the one's buying 8. Every customer is important. And you need to make sure you give the best. Give them best quality, top-notch packaging, so that they can always come back and then they will tell other people to reach out.
Start with the basics. Tell a story. Be relatable. Do your research. Build a community. In just 2 years, 32 Collections Business Blueprint has managed to grasp these fundamental concepts that make or break any business. Products come and go, trends change every day, but with a unique and inspiring story behind each pair, we have a gut feeling that this brand has the staying power to become a household name. The great thing about executing intentional fashion choices in Nigeria is the instant access to customization. You're scrolling through your social media, walking through your city. You see a striking outfit, a bold bag, a sharp pair of shoes. Everything you're inspired by can be easily made specifically for you, if you know where to go. I discovered that many Nigerians head to the markets to have their footwear made, and I was intrigued by this. So we'll head over now to the Shoemakers Hub at the Area 1 Shopping Center to see the process. It's a brief but illuminating